Today I'm going to show you guys how to remove the entire back seat on the Jaguar XJ. Now this is for the 2011 and up XJ. In the UK, it might be known as 2010 and up, but this is the X351 model. There are many inquiries online on how to remove the rear seats on the XJ. There are forums that tell you how to do it, but to the best of my knowledge, and at the time of recording this video, there are no videos on YouTube that show you how to take apart the rear seats fully. This, to the best of my knowledge, would be the first complete video on how to do this. This was made possible thanks to members on the Jaguar forum that posted how to take apart the seats. They posted material provided by Jaguar on the disassembly of the rear seats. All the forum pages that I use to figure this out will be listed in the description down below. Also, my email will be listed down below in case you guys need to contact me. But there may be a few reasons why you guys need to remove the rear seats. The first and biggest reason probably is to access the fuse panel behind the seats, which is located around here. There are an array of fuses behind here that control various functions of the vehicle that if they blow, you'd have to take apart these seats in order to replace them. So that's the first reason why you might want to take apart the rear seats. The second reason, and I see a lot of these inquiries online, is from tinting places. Places that tint the rear windshield of the vehicle. Yes, it is cracked. I have to get it replaced. You can see in my previous video where I mentioned about that crack. Anyway, you can save a comment about the rear glass. When you want to get your XJ tinted, these tint places, they have to access the cracks and crevices way back there in order to tint the rear windshield properly. What most of them do, since there's no information about this online, is that they cut around the third brake light, and it looks like a pretty sloppy job. So a lot of the professional tint places online go to the forums and ask, hey, how am I supposed to remove this because I can't get back there? Some show a little wedge tool they put back there in order to gain access to push the tint down over there. But the best way to do it would be to remove the rear deck, which is the reason why I'm doing this video, is because that rear speaker back there is making a noise. I'm going to take it out and see if I can fix it. If I can't fix it, I'm just going to unplug it, because these speakers back here, they don't really put out much of a sound when the surround sound system is on. I will post here a little video of the noise that the speaker is making. That is the reason why I'm taking this apart. Another reason why you might want to take out the seats is to replace your rear sunshade if it's not working. Mine is not working either, but I'm not going to be replacing it right now, but I will look at it and inspect it when this rear deck is off. Now, a final reason why you guys might want to take out your rear seats is that if you're going to be conditioning them, the best way to condition seats is to remove them from the car and to leave them in the sun and let the sun bake onto the leather and open up the pores inside the leather and let the leather cleaner and conditioner soak into the seats and then put them back on the car. That is the best way to do it. I will be doing that eventually as well. These seats all need a deep cleaning, and I'm going to be using a product called Leather Reek, which is the best cleaning solution for leather that I've ever seen in my life. So I just finished this job completely, and before I go over how to do it step by step, for people who are in a rush and want to get this done quickly, what you have to do is the seat has to come out, pins in the front, pull the seat out. Then there's a strap behind these seats that are connected to the back seats right here. You pull this strap, it releases the hatch, these seats come forward. Then take out this trim panel, move this trim panel over, take out this trim panel, but remove the airbag tag right here. There's a screw behind there. Take that screw out, take these panels out, take that panel out. There are tabs behind here on the deck. Take those tabs out, remove the anchor covers, 2 screws, 8mm on this side and that side holding this deck in. Loosen them, do not take them out, just loosen them. Then you could lift the deck up and wiggle it completely out. Now, I'll show you guys how to do it in depth. So, without further ado, we will be removing these seats, starting with the lower panel. These seats come out separately. So the bench comes out as one, and the back panel comes out as one as well. In order to remove the bench, there are tabs around this area over here. You'll see These tabs need to be felt for. They are hidden back there. They cannot be seen. You have to feel for it, and you must unclip the tab like this. Everything's gonna make sense when I pull this apart. I'm gonna show you everything. I'm gonna pinpoint exactly where they are in this video. So let's get to it. So what you wanna do, an easy way to do it is to put your foot on the mat, take your hand and slide it around here. You can pull the seat up a little bit to gain some room to put your hand through there and feel for the tab. See, I already feel one right here. Right here, I feel the tab. I'm gonna pull the tab towards me. Like so. See how it just came up? All right, there's actually a tab way in front right here. Pull that towards you, like so. The first tab is right here. Second tab is right here. It is the same way over there. So let's go over to the other side right now. You can see the seat already starting to come off. All right, we're on the other side now. We're gonna mimic the same process that we did over there. Feel around, feel around. We know there's one up here. All right, I feel it right here. Pull that tab. If you're on this side, the passenger side, tabs are pulled towards that side of the vehicle. If you're on the driver's side, this is left-hand drive vehicle, tabs are pulled towards that way as well. So keep that in mind when you're watching this video. You'll see when I pull this seat out what they look like. There we go. As you can see, these are what the tabs look like. There are little clips, and you can see the mechanism on how it works. So they're all facing the same way. It depends on which way that you are looking at the tab. You put your hands under the seat and you do as so. You can see where they're placed in the scale of the vehicle now. There. Over the transmission tunnel, and you can see the seat there as well. Now be very careful because there is a heating and cooling element under these seats. If so equipped, you have to unplug them before you pull out the seat. The system is right there, as you can see there. So if you want to remove this bench seat, you would unplug these harnesses here. It's latched on right there with a tab, and it's pretty self-explanatory on how you'd take them out. You should take a picture on how they are attached to the seat. However, I am gonna avoid taking that out because I do not need to take them out right now. So I'm just gonna leave them in the seat, but be careful not to put any, if you're gonna leave them in the seat like I did, try not to pull this seat too far and put any pressure on those wires. Now, the next step is to remove the back bench. In order to do that, you must locate the tab, the little strap that you see below the seat, like so. You want to pull firmly on this tab. It's going to unlatch the seats back there, and then you're going to pull it down. So it's very difficult to do that with the phone. So I'm gonna loosen the seat, and then I'm gonna show you guys how I pull it down. So you have to pull the latch like I showed you over there. Pull it really hard until you hear a little latch over here disengage. Then, while you're pulling this, you pull the seat forward and then let it go slightly. And then you go to the other side and you do the same thing on the other side, and then they'll come forward like so. It's easier if you have two people to do it at once at the same time. Now, we're gonna pull forward, just like this. Watch the seat belts, and you'll see how the seat comes apart like so. You can see now you have access to the fuse panel back here. You can see here all these fuses back here. You can even see the two huge wiring harness attachments over there. So if you're removing the seats to access the fuses, you can stop right here. But if you're moving the seats to access the back panels up there, we have a few more stages to go through. So these seats are actually on a hinge. They go forward and back. Keep in mind this seat belt is a little tricky. I'm not sure how to take it off entirely. You might have to slide it through this entire thing, but I'm not going to do that. You can see the back of the seat, how it works with the heating element, the air vents that push the air through the seats, the assembly back there. I show you guys everything in case you have to have any specific reference I may not even be noticing. Seatbelt buckler, more modules, attachments. If you are removing any wires, I do suggest that you disconnect the battery. So now we want to remove this deck. In order to do that, there are plastic screws. Just pull out like so. Keep them in a safe place. But you want to remove them. There's another one here, above the fuse panel, right there. Twist them out, and they'll come out. Gotta be careful, guys. I almost lost this one inside the fuse panel. So there was one there, one there. Now let's go to the other side. Now we're on the other side. There's one right here. Undo that, put that down in a secure area. So, in order to remove this rear deck, unfortunately, we have to remove these little panels over here because it clips on to hold the deck in place. What I did was I pushed this up and I unclipped it from the front, and you'll see there's a clip right up there. You just push with your hand back up there to release that clip on the side, and then sort of gotta wiggle it around. So I unlatch this, and it gives me room to wiggle this out in a little bit. But first we gotta remove these seat anchors because that's preventing us from getting this out. See these clips on the side right here? There's a clip right here, and a clip right there. Go in from the bottom, pinch those clips together. I'm gonna push one in there, out and up, like so. You can see the clips on the side right there, below and on top. Now we do it to the middle and the left, so all the top tabs are out. There also is a wire right here that was clipped in, right where that little clip is right there. You want to unclip that wire. So these pillars with the airbag tag on it have to be removed before we can remove that panel. Same on that side, and then we'll have access to remove the rear deck. So take a flathead screwdriver, make sure it's clean. You do not want to stain this material. Pop out the airbag tag like so, and then we'll see in there that it is a Torx screw. So we have to take that out. So for this screw in here, it is a T30. So we're going to take this screw out now. So unfortunately, in order to be able to get this assembly out of here, this pillar needs to come off. But in order to get this pillar off, this side panel needs to come off. But in order to get this side panel off, this door sill assembly needs to come off. So what you want to do is you want to pull up slightly and carefully. There are tabs that you'll see right here, and you just put it to the side. You can also see these wires that run from the fuse box that I showed you guys, just running along the side of the vehicle back to the front of the vehicle. And these wires are on the other side too. There's just as many. It's crazy how electrically complex modern cars are, and this isn't even an electric vehicle. Quick little side note, all XJs have this little plug right here on each door sill, and if you were to purchase an XJ and it had non-illuminated door sills like this, you could buy an illuminated door sill, plug it into here, and use this built-in plug, and then upgrade to illuminated door sills just like that. I'm looking for those online. They're very expensive, but that is another one of the upgrades that I want to do on this car. Okay, so we got that panel off now. We gotta take this panel out, pull off the weather stripping, and you'll see the tabs that hold it in. These little clips hold this in. You just pinch it out like that. You can move it out of the way enough to finally get this little panel out of the way. And then you can wiggle it out like so. Just be very careful. Do not want to ruin these panels. You can see it's attached to that one as well. Be very, very careful. Take your time with this. Don't ruin these clips. There's a clip up there. So you gotta just pull that out like that. I shouldn't have done that, but there you go. And you see the clips back there and the clip right there. That attaches this whole entire assembly. You can see how much of a mess it is back there. The main goal is to get this one out of the way so we can be able to get this one out of the way. We got this panel out. You can see how it was attached with these little tabs right there. You can see it slides back in like there. We'll move that out of the way to there right now. All right, we see this panel over here. What looks to be like a clip holding that one in, the last clip. So be very, very careful. You can see here the antenna and all these very delicate wires. Pull it out like that, and there you go. And there you go. The entire assembly is out. Oh, just realizing that required a lot of work and a lot of trial and error. It was very scary pulling it out, and knowing that I have to do it on that side as well, and knowing I have to put this back together. It's just, I hope that it's much easier to put back together than it was to take off. Anyway, it's pretty cool what we can see here. You can see the production date. You can see how it's beautifully stitched and everything. All right, so now we have access to this rear deck over here. Okay, the next step, you'll see a screw right there. That screw is an 8mm. You have to reach there with an extension. I did a makeshift extension because I don't have a long one with me right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to extend this, go onto there, put it on the ratchet, and then loosen the bolt. You don't have to actually remove the bolt, just loosen it. Be very careful over there. Here is the airbag. You do not want to mess with that. Watch any wires you touch over there. All right, so we loosened the bolt. You do not have to take it off. You just have to loosen it, and you can see it's already starting to come out. So we're gonna do the same on the other side now. All right, so we removed the panels over here. I loosened the bolt. You can see this thing's coming apart now, so I'm gonna get somebody else to help me on the other side to wiggle it out. You could probably do it by yourself, but it is a lot easier if you have somebody else to wiggle it out with you. So we're gonna wiggle it up and down while we pull towards ourselves. So keep in mind when you're pulling up and out, there could still be some wires that are clipped to this. So take care to try to unclip them now, or be careful when you pull it out. Just be aware. So depending on which model XJ that you have, there will be connectors on both sides. This is the passenger side. This connector you should undo, and this connector you should undo before taking apart this deck. And on the driver's side, that connector right there. All right, so we finally got this off. It required 2 people with a lot of force. What we did was we wiggled left and right and pulled towards us, and it eventually came out. There is a clip you can see behind the third brake light right there. That clip gave us some trouble. Again, like I told you before, undo those wires before you take it out. Here is the rear deck. There is a panel below it right here that comes right out. Just pull it up, pull it towards you. This is, I have no idea. But now we have access to the rear speakers. So we finally have access to the speakers after all this time. These speakers are giving me a problem. The left one is giving me an issue with the noise, and I fear the right one will do the same. Right now I can't find these online. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna disable them after testing the sound system to see if there's really no difference after disabling them. So I'm gonna test the sound system right now, but you can see all the area of the rear deck on the XJ. You can see all the wiring. Gotta be careful not to fray any of this wiring when you put things back, or when you take it out and when you put it back. Very, very complex, very time consuming. So I want to make sure I get this done in one go. Just showing you the speakers from the back side now. Again, ignore the cracked glass. Sometimes these bolts come loose and create a rattle. So make sure they're all tight while you have this out. I don't see the reason why this speaker's making noise. I fixed the bottom of it. I thought the top would be apparent. It might be. I'm gonna check this area back here, but it's very difficult to get back there. So I'm gonna see if that's the reason, but I may just disable them. All right, so I just unplugged the speakers up there. I put this panel back here to plug in the attachments on both ends before I test it so there's no error codes. So let me go and try the sound system right now. So we unplugged the speakers and we tested it, but it was still making noise. I didn't know what was going on. But apparently there's another wire that runs right under the system. I think it attaches inside there. I hope it doesn't. I'm gonna follow it right now. But if it does, that means I gotta take this whole assembly out to look under it. And these screws seem like a nightmare. Let's hope that's not the case. So apparently, following that wire into here, under the trunk, leads to this. The wire is right here. You can see right there. It leads to this module right here, which controls, I believe, some part of the speaker and the rear trunk light. I'm gonna see what happens if I disable this thing. I'm gonna try to see if I can like unscrew it and see what it even is. And then see if that fixes the problem. If it does, I wasted a lot of time. But you know what? I'm actually happy because I was able to show you guys how to do this entire process. All right, so we actually unplugged this entire thing and took it out. So the plugs on it were completely removed and it was still making noise. I did not even understand how that was possible. But when I took the entire thing out, and we put this panel back on to test it, because I wanted to plug in these things before I turned the car on, my friend pointed out that there were speakers behind this little panel right here. I completely would have missed that. Thank you to him. So this is the problem actually. So these seem to be high-pitched tweeters. What's gonna happen is they're gonna be unplugged. Both of them actually. I'm not dealing with this again. You cannot get to these plugs where it bolts into the car. At least you might be able to through this side, but I'm not taking the risk. So these are being unplugged. Also, this is the retractable sunshade. It's not working on my car. I'm not sure why, but I could care less right now. So we're gonna unplug these and finally test it now. All right, so we put it back there. I plug back in these two speakers. I plug back in this little device, whatever it is, but it's not for speakers. It wasn't even attached to the assembly. I did unplug those two little weird tweeters that we found. My friend showed me. I unplugged it, played the sound, and everything is perfect right now. So now, time for reassembly. So me and him are gonna put this thing back on there. We're gonna line it up, push it all the way back there. We're gonna line that pin up with that screw back there. Remember, it has to go between the screw and the bracket. We're gonna put that on there. Once that's on there and it's all lined up, we can screw it in and start reassembling it. You can see how long this took me. The sun's almost setting. So I unplugged these plugs from these high-pitched tweeters because these are the ones that were making noise. I kept those speakers plugged in for now because they're actually working, and when they go bad, they're easily repairable from the trunk. Now, I unplugged them and I zip tied them so they'll be secure. So I'm in the process of putting these screws back into the speakers up there. I wanted to mention a few things. A lot of them were loose enough to be turned by hand and didn't require a ratchet. So keep that in mind. Number two, I saw some guy in the forums. He had to remove this entire deck back here because there was a rattle coming from back here, and it turned out to be one of those screws. If that's the case, these screws are accessible from the trunk. You just pull this down, and you can access each one of these screws that are up there from the trunk. And you can hand tighten them and loosen them. And if you can't loosen them from up there, or if you can't tighten them from up there, you could take a wrench down here and turn it manually. So if you have a rattle back there, it might actually save you hours and hours of work, like I did. See, I'm out of breath. If you just come back here and you try to turn them and tighten this whole system down. I think it's really cool to see the writing on some of these things. See there, you see here, this is on the third brake light. You can see it's the X351 subwoofer plus blind sunshade plus Bowers & Wilkins system. It's pretty cool. I like seeing these internal writings and these internal stickers and codes and how they put together a vehicle. It's very interesting to me. It's finally time to put this rear deck back on, but don't forget, this goes on first before it. So when putting this piece back in, notice these two tabs on both ends. They go in right there. So you can slide this over there, over the speaker. You can easily put this back on by using this window to guide it in. This back screw right here is a very, very annoying screw to get in from the inside. Between this area, it took me like 2 minutes straight trying to get it in. Once you get it in past a certain point and you start screwing it, you could then come back here and put your arm back here like I'm doing and screw it down until you can't anymore, and you're ready to use the ratchet to put it in. You can see, guys, how out of breath I am, how crazy of a job this is to do. But you know what? Actually being able to do this on my own is an amazing part of it. And the fact that I fixed my problem with the surround sound and I can listen to my music in unbelievable quality now is just worth it in every way, shape, and form. And providing this video to the community on YouTube tops it all. We finally tightened all these bolts. These are very hard to get to put them in, and to tighten them with the wrench, you need someone back here to either guide you or get a mirror and then tighten these. I just tightened those to be snug. I didn't torque them or anything. Now it's time to put the panel back on. We got that deck, the little piece back in there now. It was annoying because one of the tabs didn't go in, but you'll know when they're both in by looking where I told you to look. So that's in now. This is now ready to be put back in. There's a little tab right here in front of the third brake light. This tab right back in there, through there. It's gonna be difficult to put it in, but you gotta wiggle it in. And like I said, it has to match up with this screw right here and these areas where it clips in right here. The 3 spots that we took out in the beginning. So we're having a problem getting this panel in. You can see that piece right there is not aligned with that spot, and we have to go scoop it in like this. Up, scoop in like that. So I have an additional helper to be back here to look at this spot, and I have me and my other friend to guide it in. So this is a whole process. You have to angle it. So this is the next day. I spent yesterday from about 3 o'clock till 9 o'clock trying to figure this out. Most of this job is really a trial and error. There's not that much information online, and the information that's online is a little bit of a joke. One of the posts that I saw said that it was difficult to take out this top deck, but putting it in was all easy. And I can only conclude that that guy must have been trolling the entire internet, because we spent hours and hours trying to get this one pin right here. Just one pin that is on this deck into this one hole, and it is impossible because the pin is angled in such a way that it always misses that pin and goes above it. So we have tried to wiggle this thing every way. We try to put it in like this to put the pin down and put it back up. I tried bending the pin, nothing worked. I'm ashamed to say, but it is probably one of the worst designs I've ever seen in my life. We're gonna try a few different things today. I'm gonna keep you guys informed. So I had an idea of putting a piece of string there that we're gonna use to pull the tab down when we put the panel back there, to angle it down. And once we get it in there, we could then cut the string. We'll see if this works. Finally, after almost 3 hours of trying from yesterday and today, 2 days in a row, we finally got this back panel in. I had the idea. It required me, my sister, and her boyfriend. She was guiding us on the pin back there. He was pushing this side in, I was pushing this side in. At the same time, I was using this string to pull the pin down, and I had my glove. And when she told us we were lined up, I pulled that string down to angle that pin down, and me and him both pushed this back, and it just slid into place. The string broke at the same time. These pins are all properly, as you can see, lined up right behind that screw. Same on that side too. This is an impossible job to do by yourself. Impossible. I don't know how that person said he did it on the forums. I am very skeptical about it, but you cannot do this job alone. So next thing to do is to plug these cords back in on both sides. This one right here, these two right here. And be careful, guys, because in the process of doing this, we unplugged part of the defrost system on the rear windshield. That needs to be plugged in before all the panels go back together. This is a complex job, to say the least. So finally, it's time to put it all back together now. All right, all wires are now reattached. I reattached that wire back there as well. It was very difficult to do one-handed. Now it's time to tighten the bolts that connect the rear deck. So let's tighten those. Remember, the screws back there are 8mm. So take this, make it snug enough so that when you try to lift it up, that screw back there does not move. Next, if you remember, we took this trim piece off last, so therefore it goes in first. So make sure you have the one for the proper side, which I believe this is the correct side. Again, you can see the little cool writings on there. Manufactured date of 2010. So take this and put this back up there. So this piece right here clips into there, right there, as you can see. Clips right up there. It'll lay right there until we get the other trim piece in. All right, so it's time to put this trim piece back in, the one that has the airbag tag on it. If you didn't take it off like I didn't, it may have led to some damage. You can see here, unfortunately, what happened was that this very light material rubbed against the metal back there, which is rusted, and sort of discolored it. But I'm confident that I can just get a little wet rag and take this off. So we're gonna try that right now. So I took a damp, clean rag and I tried to rub it against this area here. It took off a little bit of it. It's very delicate material over here. It's either Alcantara or suede. However, I think this area up here, and I got discolored, will be hidden in the trim panel. Just keep this in mind when you do this, so that you don't discolor your light colored interior. So let's put this back on right now. Follow the seatbelt up to here and push this trim piece. It's gonna be a little tricky, but you gotta wiggle it in. So you have to wiggle it in to the spot. There are pins that are right here that this will sit on top of. There's a pin right there that clips in. See that white pin on the bottom of the screen? That slides into there. Make sure you don't clip any wires. Then there is a pin up here that has to latch. It's difficult, but you see that pin has to be on this. You gotta pull it down and up, like I just did right there. Then this pin right here, line it up, push that in. The pin right here is against it. This is straight flush with the hole for the screw. This is in, sort of, has to be in better. Like so. Just slam it in. This piece has to then go under this, like so, and around this pin. So So the top of this piece has to go right behind here. So the top of this piece has to go in this little slotted area right here. There are slots right there that this slides into, and you put this back and makes it flush with this, so it grabs that area and doesn't move. As you can see over there. So there are clips this bottom trim panel has to clip into. Tab right there. Up and in. Clip into there. Right back there. You can see, push it into there. And there's also a clip, if you removed it, right there. If you took it out, that it has to go back into as well. These clips are all in. This is all in there. I think this is proper. I'm gonna see when I close it up. This is not fully in yet. I'm gonna push it in more. Maybe it'll latch in when I put everything back together. But then, we're now able to put this piece back in. You can line it up, push it in into that hole, clip up there, and smack it in. Make sure it's in properly. As you can tell, actually, there's a little hump. Hold on. If your trim piece was bulging out a bit, you'd want to take it off and then make sure that the one behind it is properly secured, roller pins inside. I took it out, I put it back in, it looks good now. I may have to fix it again, I'm not sure. Next step is to put this screw back in the airbag. This, remember, it was a T30, so we're gonna screw it back in now. All right, the screw's in. Remember, just make it snug because it is plastic on one end. Now put the airbag in, like so. Seatbelt works, this is in. This is coming out a little bit, but I'm not sure why. I'll check the other one on the other end. Now it's time to put the bottom door plate in. Move the trim piece out of the way, take the plate, put it up. Like so. Now we put the weather stripping back on. I messed up a little bit here. I took the weather stripping off completely, and then I realized that after I put the door sill in, I gotta get under it. So I gotta take the door sill out now, put the stripping on, and put the door sill back on. So keep that in mind when you guys do it. All right, we're finally good now. Weather stripping is in. These trim panels are completely in, screwed in. If you took this screw out here, because you read it on the forums, then you could put it in, back in now. Put it back in over there as well too. One of the people in the forums mentioned to take that out, and that was very incorrect. So that side's done. Time to do the same to this side. And while I was screwing that in, I just noticed, reading some of this stuff, it says bench frame checked by BH. Thank you, BH. For some reason, this side was much trickier to get in than the other side. I got it in, but you gotta be very careful with the airbag right there. When the pins are all in up there, also keep in mind that sometimes the pins come out. So make sure you find that pin, slide it back in, and put it in properly. All right, this side is back in fully. Well, almost. I have to put that back trim panel back in. Keep in mind, you might want to plug back in the wires to the loops that they came out of. It's not a necessity, but if you can do it, do it. So this trim panel's in there properly. Got to put that screw in. These were all in properly. Have to put that door sill panel onto here. We're good with that. It's coming along. We're almost done. I double checked and made sure everything was working before I put this back together. Definitely do that before you put everything back together. Make sure the whole reason why you took this apart is actually fixed. And obviously apply that to everything else you do in life as well. Double check so you don't have to redo the entire process again. There's a slight issue on this side. The pin that was holding in this seatbelt trim piece is missing now, and it's now completely loose. I fear it will make noise when I drive, but I mean, we'll see. If I have to, if it makes noise, I can always take these seats back. They're very easy to take back like you saw, and just tape it, not to worry. All right, so we got all the trim panels back in finally. All the screws in for the airbag, tabs, the side panels, and the door sill plates. Next is to insert the tabs that we took out in the clips over there and put back in the anchor covers. So to put the clips back in, you're going to want to separate them like I did. You got to pull these tabs out to be able to freely move this away from those tabs and out of this piece. You then take this piece and attach it to this area carefully like so, and then take the other piece, putting it in all the way, and then pushing to make sure it's secure. When it comes to the anchor points, open it like this, slide them in, and they should just clip in. You might have to pinch it together, close it, yeah, like so. All right, everything is fully back in place. Anchor covers are all in. Pins from the bottom of the pins that hold, the plastic pins that hold in the deck are in. The screws on both sides are tightened down. Airbag trim pieces with the screw behind them are actually secured. Trim panels look good. Let's see. All right, time to put these seats back. So what we're gonna do is just gonna make sure the seats are in the proper position. There are metal pieces back there that roll on a metal hinge. Position the seat forward a little bit, push it back, and it's sure to latch in. So just push the seat back, flush with the wall, and then you can come down here and you can see where the pins of the seat slide into. See there, you can see, I don't know what this piece is. It actually came out, so we're gonna put that back in. All right, I was able to get it back in by pinching the top and pushing it down. Seatbelt here, seatbelt there. Pin there. There might be a pin right back there. You can see it, that it goes into as well. So let's guide this in. All right, so we finally got these back benches in after a little bit of a hassle. So the pin, you can see right there, and I can find a better photo for you. Right here. The pin from the back seats has to slide into that pin there. And there are 4 pins. There's one there, there, and there. So once you have it on top of those pins, you need to pull the bench forward like this, push down, and then slide it back. And it'll fall into those pins. It'll fully fall and be flush with the bottom of that pin. And then you push it back and it'll lock and latch in like it did. Now, putting this bench back in is going to be easy as well. You just pick up, latch this to the bottom over there and over there too. Remember, we want to line it up so that it actually matches with these pins right here. So we got to push it and make sure it's flush against this, and then push it down. All right, so the trick to do the bottom bench is to have it up like this, angle it, push it so it's flush to the back like this, and then slam it down. And then you want to slam down on it to make sure it latches in, and then make sure it's secure. All right, we're finally done. Finally, after 2 days and about 8 hours worth of work. Now, it took me that long because there was a lot of trial and error and a lot of unknowns that I sacrificed my time, my energy, and my car. As you can see, there are some areas of the car that I damaged. Luckily, it's actually not too bad. This is secure. This is a little loose. I'm afraid it's gonna make noise. I'll give you guys an update if that makes noise or not. Finally, it is complete. I did all this so you guys don't have to go through this pain and hassle of figuring it out on your own and trying to do this by yourself with the lack of knowledge that is online for this car. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. I believe this video is going to help out a lot of people, and especially a lot of tint places. so they can do the job properly on the XJ if you'd like to get it tinted. There's a piece that came off, I believe, when I pulled off the deck in the back. I don't know where it goes to. Doesn't seem like there's anything that is missing when I put it back together, but I'll keep it. If any of you guys do this and you see this piece and you find out where it goes to, let me know. I doubt I'll ever put it back unless I take the back deck off again, which I hope to never do, but something to keep in mind. So the car did take some beating. There's a little bit of dirt between that headliner right here. Wasn't that bad. This seat took a heavy beating with the seat belt that just pushed against it. I can take that out when I leather reek the car, or even use regular leather conditioner. I don't care what anybody tells you on some forum that you read about this job. It is insanely difficult when you take off that back deck right there. Insanely difficult, as you've seen from my video. There is no possible way that you could get that on without a separate person helping you. And honestly, that might not even be enough. I had 2 other people helping me and we still barely got it in. Luckily for me, that string trick worked. Otherwise, I would have had to drill a hole in there and use that drill to pull it down. If it wasn't for that pin back there, I would say this is not a bad job, but that pin is an absolutely horrendous design. Maybe in the later XJs, they redesigned that pin area back there to make it easier, and that's why people say it's a one-person job, but in this early XJ, 2011, in the States, 2010 in the UK, very, very, very difficult. But I did used to think that it was a poor design to have this fuse box back here behind the seats, but it's not actually that hard to take apart these seats and pull these forward, so I take that back. I don't suggest you do this job, you guys, unless you really, really, really need to, like I needed to with the speakers. I did leave those 2 big speakers plugged in back there because they are easily accessible back here to be repaired in case they come apart. You can easily glue them like I did with that one over there. I just tested it out again after putting everything back together, and it worked. It worked. All those hours were worth it. Once I put on the surround sound through this button, only early model XJs have this button here. I put on the surround sound because the whole reason why I did this was that the surround sound, when I would have it on, the speaker in the back would be enabled and it would cause that loud buzzing and it would ruin the whole sound experience for me. So, and when I would have the surround sound off, this speaker gets disabled. Yes, that piece came off by itself. It just broke off, I think, because of the heat. But anyway, this speaker in the front, a very powerful speaker, is turned off when the surround sound is turned off. So it literally plays 2/3 of what the system could be playing in the front when the surround sound is off. So I was tired of missing out on that experience because the Bowers & Wilkins sound system on here is, I believe, 1,300 watts with 20 speakers, and it is, without a doubt, the best sound system that I have ever experienced in a car in my entire life, and I have been in hundreds of vehicles. Now, I cannot speak for Bentleys, and I cannot speak for the Burmester high-end sound system on the S-Class, which I think might be better than this, or even the new Meridian reference system on the newer XJs. However, I do know the Bowers & Wilkins on this car is probably 99.9% better than any car on the road. Even, in my opinion, better than an aftermarket sound system that costs thousands, because this is factory. It is designed for this car specifically, and it's just immaculate. So, all this work paid off. I now have the best sound experience possible in this car when I am cruising nonstop. It's just amazing. Again, guys, if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments down below. I answer every single comment that I get. You can also email me at xjluxury@gmail.com. I'll put it in the description box down below. I love when you guys send me questions. I love when you guys send me an XJ that you're interested in and want my opinion on it. I love it. I'm doing this channel for you guys, and it's a great thing, especially to be able to provide to this community on such an amazing vehicle. And any questions regarding this job, like I said before, email me. And if you're going to do it yourself, good luck. Be careful. You have the complete guide now, and please, please, please have more than one person if you're going to do it.